Hello everyone, we're just starting, so welcome. And so we're going to be about an hour, hopefully. I said 90 minutes, but I understand that, if some of you need to leave after about an hour, at any point there's no, like, you're free to go, we're not going to lock you in. And I appreciate everybody to come here tonight. So this is Oaktree BODY. Some of you might be very familiar with the Oaktree BODY. I've participated in it. And some of you, this is brand new. There's a lot of exciting things we're going to share with you tonight. We have a guest speaker, Alex, who's a national level gymnast, who's going to talk more about movement. And we have some people that have been in our Oaktree BODY program that are going to share a quick testimonial. But before we get into it, I have a question. And, I always like to start off my presentation with life is amazing. And just a quick reminder that life is amazing. And one of the ways that we try to make it amazing is many ways, but we try to follow our calling and try to do what's on our hearts. And this has been a very important project for us. And so the question that I want you to think about, why is it amazing? Because of these people, because of my family, and we're going to talk about family too. I'm going to finish off. By the way, the most important, I have 3 major points. My third point is about family. And I always leave the most important point as my final point that I want to make in my presentations. So the best part that I'm going to talk about is how to get your family involved in your healthy lifestyle. And we're going to talk about that. So my question for you is, if you had to look good or feel good, which one would you choose? And we had a little poll over the week, little marbles. So we had green and blue marbles, and we asked people quickly, pick one. Look good, feel good. So if you had to, and right away, I'd love for you to answer with just your gut instinct, the first thing that came up on your, so if you had to look good, what would you? Who would say, yeah, that's me? So yeah, people are
Wrong answer.
If you have to feel good, who's that? Everybody, I'll tell you my gut answer. Honestly, it was right away when that question came up. That question came up at 3 a.m. So yeah, it was 3 a.m. still. When that came up to me, my first gut instinct was to look good. And then when my brain came on and it said, well, wait a second, that sounds pretty shallow. That sounds, what's the point of looking good when if you don't feel good? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then I said, I guess it's feeling good. But if we look at what we put most of our focus, our attention, our time in our days, we can't really always answer that it's about feeling good. Ideally, we would have both, right? And that's a conflict. A lot of times people have a belief that they cannot achieve both. That, in order to look good, you're going to have to pay a price. You're going to have to sacrifice your food and eat some bad food. Or you're going to have to go to the gym and exercise all the time and suffer. And you're going to have to do things you don't really like to do. That's, some of the mindsets that people have. And sometimes people are like, okay, I'm alright with that. That's the price. I'm willing to take that. And sometimes other people are like, forget that. I just want to enjoy my food. I want to enjoy. So it's a constant. I don't think we're ever really there. We're always. But ideally, Oaktree BODY is about helping you achieve that at best. Helping you look good, feel good. So at the end of the day, you can do good, and life can be amazing. When I started thinking more about that question, the one thing that really got to me was, okay, look good, feel good. What if you had cancer and you lost a breast, or you lost your hair? I lost my hair, but that's another story. Or your skin changed, that totally changed. All of a sudden, I was like, yeah, well, maybe, because I often have people that come and see me, and sadly, through sickness, things have changed with the physical appearance. Oftentimes weight, Sometimes it could be a body part that is changed and it's not the same anymore. And I will tell you, when the door is closed and they're honest with me, they're telling me the number one thing, I know I have cancer, I know I have all this problem going on, but my physical thing needs to change. And the physical does play on the emotional, and the emotional plays on the feeling. So yeah, let's do both. Let's look good and feel good so we can do good. That's the point of Oaktree Body. And so what is Oaktree Body? Oaktree Body is a lot of things. Over the week, so a few people were, even our team, they were asking like, so, Victoria's new here. She's like, what's Oaktree Body? What is it about? And it's hard for me to answer. It's a nutritional program. It's about eating well and diet a little bit. It's about strength and fitness, getting healthy in a physical way. It's about stress reduction, managing life, the business, the chaos. There's some psychology, understanding how shame or guilt can really rob us from things. It's also a major part is the accountability, the support that we offer to help people achieve the Oaktree Body. And so in a nutshell, if I had to really put it all together, that's what Oaktree Body is about. And I'm going to talk more about it, but I've asked a few people that have been on Oaktree Body now for a while if they could share a little bit, within a minute, not like a 10-minute thing, but in a minute, quickly how their experience been through the program. And the first person who's going to start is Emily.
Oh. So I can go home and see the children. Home. Home.
So, yeah, you can come in front of us.
All right, hello. So I guess I'm the most veteran Oaktree Body person because Martin and I started it together. But yeah, in the past we used to do this program in like a chunk of time. We used to be like do it for 3 months and go intense, and then eventually we did 6 weeks or something. But then what we do is we would eat really well, do all these things, and it was great. But then it would be very easy to kind of like afterwards just kind of stop doing it with time, right? Even us, like even though we eat well like 95% of the time, it's still more like, hey, do I get some chips? Hey, like it's just so easy to like go down, to creep back to the stuff that's not as good for you and stuff. So it's been really good lately, the best we've done it, I think, because we go on for 2 weeks, and then we're showing everybody else in the group what we're eating, every single thing, even if we cheat, like just everything, for 2 weeks. So we're on, and then we're off for 2 weeks. But that kind of allows you to stay on, but you can have a little treat, or kind of go off, and it's not, you don't feel guilty because it's okay. Like you don't have to eat well 100% of the time. That doesn't work because then you go off of it. You know what I mean? So that's been really good for us. 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and it's kind of like, okay, I haven't eaten really great this week. Okay, good, we're back on next week, and I'll just like clean it up again, right? And the accountability for me has been the best part of the on and off. So that helps a little bit. And for me, I've always done it. Like every time we've done it, but this has been the easiest to maintain and easiest to get the baby weight back off and all that stuff, which is good because it's more long term. Cool?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh wait, and then Martin wanted me to talk about exercise because I don't do it. So, well, I did a race and that motivated me to exercise, and I haven't done anything since then, right? So for me, it's the last thing on my priority list because it's already like work, eating well, family, like all those things you have to handle, and for me, the last thing on my priority is exercise. It really is, because I have time after 8:30 at night when the kids are in bed, and I'm done for like let's watch TV, you know what I mean? So it's my challenge. We talk about it all the time because he is Mr. Fitness. He's like, why don't you do chin-ups every time you go by the chin-up bar? I'm like, I don't. So
we had rings like.
He actually installed rings so that I would, and I walked by them like 80 times that day. I didn't even notice they were there. So that's my next
Kathy,
challenge.
the one who takes care of our kids during the day, she's doing that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much where I'm at. Like nutritionally, I'm feeling good, everything's good, but I need to add in the fitness part, and I love doing it. It's just where things are fitting in for me right now. It's not that I don't have time. It's where it's a priority for me. It's not a priority right now. So.
All right, your 1 minute is done.
Okay.
Thanks. And you're going to be seeing more of Emily if you participate more in Oaktree Body, and I'll maybe talk more about it at the end of the day, how she, the the role that she wants to play more into it. So that's from Emily. Anna, do you want to share it quickly?
Sure.
You can just stay there. It's fine.
Good. Hi everybody, my name's Anna. I've been a patient of the clinic actually for almost 5 years. Almost 5 years. I've done a couple of the previous versions of the program called the Undiet, and Oaktree Body is actually, I find, the best one so far. It's been really good for me. I'm not a big exerciser, never really have been, but just completely changing the way I eat and my habits have helped me lose weight.
How much weight have you lost?
At the last weigh-in, I was down almost 18 pounds. And that's without doing an extreme amount of exercise. I mean, I do a lot of walking, some little bit of strength stretching training, but not that much. I need to get more into that.
And how's life going these days? What's new in your life?
So I quit my full-time job. I've been working with printing companies for over 15 years, and always wanted to work with animals. The last few years I really wanted to work with animals, and every time Martin would ask me in our checkups, he would say, well, what do you want to do with your life? Because I'm always stressed about my job. And I said, well, I'd really love to work with animals. And the last time he asked me that, which was just about a year ago, so when are you actually going to do something about it? Because I've been holding myself back, so fearful about just trying. So I went for it and I applied for the veterinary technician program at Algonquin, which is a very difficult program to get into because it's highly competitive. And there were over 750 applicants, and there are 75 students, and I'm one of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a little scary, but I'm just doing it.
Yeah.
I'm just doing it.
That's awesome. And
Yeah, I'll do a quick testimonial. This is unscripted.
yeah, I know. I already have some people planned.
Go ahead.
But okay, you got 20 seconds or 30 seconds.
I'm just saying the same thing. And okay, I lost about 20 pounds since the spring,
Yeah.
but it was more the psychological, like happiness level, vitality level has increased.
Awesome.
And I followed this with, anyways, for a long, I can't get into it, but I couldn't do high impact exercise because there's like cortisol that affects your immune system, and I like high impact, and I was able to play soccer before, but I can't right now because I had a surgery. So I did this, so it's mostly the diet, and I had really good results. So I just want to say, like, the psychological effects were like probably the best.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All
Well, and
right.
I just want to add one final thing.
Yeah.
I do feel much better, like just physically, I feel so much better.
Cool. Genevieve?
I think it's a good segue. I don't know your name.
My name's V.
V?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Genevieve. So I think the main result that I've had with Oaktree Body is psychological well-being, just overall vitality, feeling good about myself. When I first started coming here, I was like working out super hard and like restricting, but I was like on a constant gaining weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been on antidepressants for about 15 years. And I started the Oaktree Body, plus the acupuncture, obviously. And now I'm off one of my medication that I've been off. I've been off for about 2 months, but I had been on the medication for 15 years. And that I had never been able to get off of it. And so I feel that it has to do with acupuncture, obviously, but with fueling my body with the essential nutrients, like eating good fats, eating lots of greens, getting that green juice in. And exercise, getting back into working out is going to be part of it. That was never an issue for me, but I think it was almost too hard before, too intense. And this program really looks at the whole picture. It looks at nutrition, looks at sleep. Martin is helping me out a ton with like making sure I get enough sleep. Can I share the
Sure,
phone
yeah,
calls?
yeah.
Sometimes he calls me early in the morning, like we have an agreement, so we'll have a quick meeting at 5:30 a.m. so that I can make sure that I go to bed early and I get the necessary amount of sleep, and that's part of Oaktree BODY. So to me, it's been life-changing, and it's not that I haven't tried anything before, it's just that this makes sense. It's like a full picture. It's nutrition, exercise, rest.
Yeah. And you know, I love hearing about your stories, and even Emily's stories. Everybody's on a different journey.
Yeah.
Everybody has different challenges. Some people haven't even touched at the exercise component yet,
Yeah.
and that's totally fine. Some people are. That's what excites them, and that's what they're into, and so everybody's. And what we wanted to do is create like a template and create models, and ways that you can at least give me some guidance, give me something to come.
I have a delivery from Naomi. There are fresh juices and people to testify.
Okay.
Testify.
Testify.
For Alex.
Yeah. So we won't do the juice right now, just
Okay.
because we're busy.
No problem.
And
So you guys can have a seat. Maybe. Back there's one seat, and then there's
lots of room.
a little
Plenty
bit.
of
There's a little gray area that you can sit on. Okay.
all right,
All right.
we can leave the door open and get some fresh
Get some air.
I'm a bit warm. Yeah. Okay, so I was talking about we're all on a journey, and I forgot, but.
Everyone has a different approach.
Yeah, everybody has different. Oh yeah. We all have templates, and this is a really at the end of the day, whether you get up, or whether you stick to the diet, or whether you exercise high intensity. This might sound like it doesn't. It doesn't matter. It really comes down to you, and it's your responsibility, and it's up to you. Yes, I care, and yes, I'd love to help you, and I love to see that you're doing well, and that. But at the end of the day, it's your template, your body. You have to find out your recipe, and we have a lot of good ideas, and we've in the past 5 years that we've done Oaktree BODY or On Diet, it's evolved, it's changed. Anna's saying it's the best it's been. I wouldn't be surprised in a year it's a little bit different, and it gets better and better. That's how I am. I'm always constantly thinking of, and how it's going to get better. Emily's joining now. Emily wants to be, that's how it's going to get better also. And then maybe Ori's going to be in it. I don't know. So he's already in it, in some videos and stuff. So that's what it is. So in a quick little snapshot, at the end of the day, a major component, so there's 3 things I'm going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about nutrition. We're going to talk more about the food component. That's the area I believe we have. That's the major area where most people need to start. The second thing we're going to talk about is Alex is going to talk more about movement and exercise. And then finally, we're going to talk about family and how to get your family more involved. And that's probably the best part for tonight. So the diet is basically, I wanted to create something that was going to be easy. I need things easy in my life. That's why I have Guna. She makes my life a lot easier. So does Emily, but Guna helps me with work, makes my life easy. I need something that I can sustain. The number one thing, the number one word, I wrote an ebook, and I start off by, my main philosophy is if you can sustain it, then you will be successful at it. I've heard so many people say, somebody this week came in and she said, I did the Evil Bernstein. She said, I did the Evil Bernstein last year. I lost 80 pounds. I was like, wow, that doesn't sound evil. But then she's like, yeah, well, I put it all back. So she couldn't sustain it for some reason. It needs to be satisfying. I need to feel satisfied. I don't want to feel like I'm stuck in prison where I'm starving and I'm not being satisfied. Social. I'm huge on being social. I love community. I'm always hanging around my family. Family's big for me. I have my parents, my kids, and all sorts of other people, and I'm always getting together with people. I also travel. I was in Calgary. Probably in a few weeks I'm going to Toronto. So I need to have something that I can be able to travel. Eat foods that I like. I like food. I do. And I don't want to be stuck in a box where I can never go back to the food that I enjoy. And accommodate a busy lifestyle. I definitely have that. and it's good. So it's a good program, fairly good for parents, busy people, people like myself. That's basically, and at the, we create things sometimes for ourselves too. And this, at the end of the day, who has benefited the most out of this in some ways has been me. Yes, I've helped a lot of people. I've heard great stories, but it's like you have no idea how this has benefited me, and I'll talk more about that later. But one of the things that I heard somebody say this week, I was like, "Oh no, you don't get it." I asked somebody asked like, "What's the Oaktree Body? And somebody said, "Oh, it's a low carb diet." And that was like, and we all have ways. How do we describe it? And I'd be interested if, some of you that have been on the program and asked, what's Oaktree Body? What would be, and I'm sure some of the words that I would hear, I'd be like, no, you don't get it. No, that's not, or maybe I'd say, yeah, that's exactly what it is. But, and depending on sometimes the look that you get, sometimes you have to go deeper into something to really grasp what it is. And sometimes people that have had quick looks or had not always the full look at what it is, get lost a bit and makes opinion, and that's totally fine. But it's not a low carb diet. It's not a high fat diet. It's not a high or low fat diet. It's not. At the end of the day, it's about having something that's fairly balanced. And I've been very careful not to call it. Sometimes people say it's a paleo. It's like paleo. It's Oaktree Body. That's what it is. and we take pictures of our plates. One of the things that we do encourage people to do, just for some support and some accountability. I took a picture of my dinner just about an hour ago, and you can see what I've been eating all week, and it's pretty balanced. And but I do use strategies and I do use techniques, and there are times where you might look at my diet and think, oh, this is a high-fat diet, or this is a high-protein diet. So not to confuse you, but what we did is we created 3 weeks: week 1, week 2, and week 3. And the first week, there's not a lot of carbohydrates in it. And sometimes people just see that and they think, well, it's a low-carb diet. Not exactly. But there are major benefits of sometimes restricting your carbohydrates. And that's a big part of what we're going to talk about tonight. There's a lot of things we can talk about nutrition, but that's what I decided to talk about tonight. Anybody ever heard of a diet called the keto diet or ketogenic diet?
I have.
Or the high-fat diet. It's recently it became popular all of a sudden. It's like some people are like, it's the new thing. But Atkins, you've heard of Atkins. Atkins is pretty much a high-fat diet. And keto diet, like the one study or the one thing that people always use to talk about the keto diet is how there was research shown in the 1920s how it would help people with seizures, and how when they went on this keto diet, the seizures stopped, and so they're saying no, it's not new. We've been using it. They've also been using it for cancer. Now I want to be careful, because do you know that you can take any studies, any line, and use it in a way and hear it, and out of the context, without having a broader view, a good understanding, you can pretty much get anybody to believe anything, anybody to do anything, anybody can, and there's a lot of that in nutrition, right? And Google is guilty for that, or the web is anybody can go online and develop an audience and write books and become this expert. And I do believe that people that do that mean well. But you can find a book that will totally debunk the keto diet and trash it, and you can find books that will say that it's the best thing on the planet. So I want to kind of share. I'm going to share a bit how I've gotten to learn about this and how I've navigated through it. And again, I am not set on any camps. That makes me safe. I have to say I'm not a carb guy. I'm not a fat guy. I'm not a protein guy. It makes me safe. But That's the truth. I'm not for any. I'm for balance. And that's how. And to prove that, if you look at my diet, you will see in my diet I have the 3 major components. But okay, so what is a keto diet? It's a high-fat diet. It's eating, consuming a lot of fats, and sometimes right away people say, well, that's not bad. No, not necessarily. A lot of people these days now have heard there's good fat and there's the bad fats. And people are like, well, as long as I have the good fats, then that should be all right. And then sometimes people are like, well, what about the cholesterol? We'll talk a little bit about that. And, but in a nutshell, is to consume a lot of fats, restrict carbohydrates, and to go to a point where you end up starting to use a source of energy called ketones. So you have no idea how many books and how many papers and how I keep reading on this. I'm still often confused on it. But there's definitely things I do. I'm certain. Basically, we have different types of energy, and most of us, as we eat food, whatever food we eat, for most cases, that food turns into glucose, and then that glucose goes and turns into energy, and that's how we're able to function and do things and to move and do gymnastics. And what happens is that if you can get to a point where your glucose is low, and glucose, we can kind of say that's sugar. If we can get to a point where our sugar levels are low, to a point where all of a sudden we have also storage. We have stores glucose. And if we end up using all of that, at a certain point the body goes into a bit of a starvation mode and starts using what's called ketones to burn. And there's a lot of advantages of burning ketones. One, ketones is kind of like, that's where now we start burning fat, which for a lot of people that want to lose weight, that's a great strategy. There's also mental, cognitive performing abilities that your brain works better. My brain's not working well, but your brain works better. There's a lot of advantages of going into that state. And sometimes if some people say, well, that could be isn't that harmful? Not necessarily, but so again, that's how it works. To go into that state, again, you have to have your insulin and your glucose low, and that is hard. So because especially in today's world, we have a high carbohydrate diet. Not everybody, but I ask this guy, oftentimes I ask people, all right, how's your diet? It's good, show it to me. They show it to me, and for breakfast I see a bran muffin. Okay, it's just bran. I guess that's fiber, and then but that turns into sugar, and then I should have brought it down. He's typed it all up for me and gives me everything. But lunch was tortilla wrap with some vegetables on it, and some cheese. That was his, which is sometimes a few days he eats the same thing all the time. A few days he adds a little piece of chicken in it, but not much. But that's more of a sugar. That at the end of the day, that turns into sugar. All right. And then dinner is small, not a lot, and yet this guy, he's unhappy with his weight. He's eating very little, but he's eating. I got him to realize that he was eating with a lot of sugar. Well, he's trying. He's like, I used to eat fries and Big Macs and all sorts of things, and he's like, I've made tons of improvement. I said, absolutely. But you still need to realize that your food is going to turn into glucose, and it's mostly carbohydrates. So you are using, and what ends up happening is that when the body absorbs it's transformed into this glucose, there's about 100 grams of that goes into the liver for storage. There's about 300 to 500 grams of that goes into our muscles. Depending on your size, you might have more, but around those numbers. Once you've topped off those numbers, the rest goes into fat. And it kind of it gets locked. The body likes to lock it in. So And if you eat more glucose, some people are like, I don't get it, I don't eat fat, I don't get it. Yeah, but if you eat more glucose than that, that will continue to get locked. And that gets locked and locked. And so what I would encourage you to do from time to time is to try to limit your carbohydrates. And that's what week 1 is about. Week 1 is to detoxify, is to eat a lot of green vegetables. Gail is doing week 1. How's week 1 going?
Very good.
And you're eating a lot of green vegetables, so not necessarily starchy vegetables, because starchy vegetables will have maybe a little bit more sugar. And you're eating fats and protein. Also, by the way, sometimes people will realize that like they eat more protein type of diet. Protein turns into glucose as well. If you eat a lot of protein, that will turn into sugar. People don't realize that. And then you will store more fat. So one strategy has been to go into this state of using ketones to burn your fat, to improve mental abilities, to help in a lot of other areas. It's like a power source, but it's not easy to get there. The way I go usually there, I try to go there, especially my work days, is that I fast in the morning. And if I fast, that means that I don't eat for breakfast. And by doing that, I'm actually, I'm limiting my carbohydrates. I will have had carbs in the evening, and then I'll sleep, and then wake up, and still no carbs. So I can go for a period, maybe 14 hours, sometimes 16 hours, no carbohydrates. And actually, if I give myself some fats, that will encourage my body to turn that into ketones. And actually, I'm going to actually burn more fat. So that's an interesting concept. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't know much about. Now, the problem with that, though, is that I don't like to stay. I don't just want to sip on olive oil all day and eat coconut oil and take butter. Butter is great. That's not what I like to do all day. I want to eat real food. I just don't want to eat. So I want to eat complete. But usually my first meal, I try not to have. Sometimes like I might have breakfast, but I'll make sure that my breakfast is fat, which will help me stay in that state of ketosis. So that's really some interesting information that I wanted to pass on. I would love for you to learn more about it, and I can share with time more about it. But basically, that's the strategies, and you don't have to do this every day. You don't have to do it all the time. But one way to help you bring down is to go into that state of ketosis. And there are ways, how do you know if you're in ketosis? Sometimes people wonder. There are strips that you can buy that you can test, but they're not completely accurate. I've never checked. I don't care that much about it. I know naturally, if I'm doing the work, then naturally my body is going to do it, and it's going to go into that state. So that's usually, I'm satisfied with that. But you can buy those little strips and check if you're into that state. And so again, the reason why I love that, it's a great strategy, I just don't think it's necessarily sustainable. And sustainable is one of my, I have black and whites, absolute, this is something, you have to find something that's sustainable. It's sustainable for me from time to time to go into that state of ketosis. But it's not sustainable for me to stay into a high-fat diet all the time. That's just me. You might be different. You might try this, love it. All you want to do is eat butter all day. It's not just that, by the way. Another great way how I stay into that zone of ketosis, one of the things that has really helped me, I've encouraged a lot of people to try this out, is to drink coffee and perhaps maybe add fats to your coffee. Add a good fat. One of the good fats that you might have heard is coconut oil, or maybe even butter. You may have heard making a bulletproof coffee is grass-fed butter, good grass-fed butter, and some MCT oil. What's MCT oil? It's coconut oil, but they just call it MCT oil. And I've got a bottle here. It's a big bottle. It's 946 milliliters. big heavy bottle that I wanted to give as a gift to someone here. So, Tammy, you? Okay, sure. So Tammy, here you go. Yeah, well.
Was it from Costco?
That's not from Costco. I don't know if I don't go to Costco, so I don't know if you can get that at Costco. I bought it online, and actually tomorrow is the National Coffee Day.
I thought it was today.
Today.
It's today?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get behind.
The coffee
So-
hasn't kicked in yet.
Yeah, coffee hasn't kicked yet, but okay, so today is coffee day. Well, anyways, so tomorrow make a coffee and try it, and but you know you can buy that from like different areas like well.ca, or you can go on bulletproof.com.ca. You can go to a lot of different places now, and it's available. But yeah, I make a coffee in the morning, and not always. Sometimes I have it black, because there's also, you know, I've been through a trap also by trying to go with the keto diet. Is that I would like increase my fats and be like, oh yeah, that's great. I'm in ketosis and all that. But then I would still eat a lot during the rest of the day. So fat, you know, sometimes people are like, it's still like there's calories. Like if you decide to consume a lot of calories in your fats, and you forgot you consumed that, and then the rest of your day, when you start, you know, breaking your fast and going into your meals, and then you eat what you normally used to eat, well, you have to don't forget what you just did earlier that day. So so that's that. That's bulletproof coffee. That's ketosis. That's high fat. If you have questions, I will ask you to hold on. I wanted to talk about triglycerides and cholesterol, but I'll hold off from that just because of timing. So that's our nutritional part, and that's my bulletproof coffee that I made. That's what it looks like. It looks almost like a latte. What I do is I add the coffee, and I add the butter and the MCT oil. Put it in my blender, like 10 seconds, and then I have my little latte, sort of.
So good.
You don't put sugar with that? Like, not sugar, but stevia or anything?
No,
Xylitol?
that's the point, right? I want to keep my sugar down. I don't want to have any sugar in my body.
But stevia is like substitute, like fake sugar.
Nothing. Fake sugar, I don't like. No. I just want fat. If there's anything, it's going to have liquids like water. Really low, like I really want to have low. Another thing that sometimes I'll do is I'll add maybe some green juice, which is very low in sugar. But yeah, I never add any honey or any maple syrup. You know, I gotten used to drinking first black coffee. I enjoy it. Every once in a while, if I want to increase fats, I'll add some oil to it, and that's how I have my coffee. But everybody's, you know, if you like. But I honestly don't know if that would get you out of ketosis.
Stevia or is that, I don't know.
I don't know.
No idea.
That's a good question. I'll find out.
Milk would get you out of ketosis.
Milk
right?
would.
Milk,
Yeah.
there's lots of sugar in milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, milk
Yeah.
would. So yeah, I don't like to stay in ketosis because if I do, then I wouldn't be able to do that.
Oh,
And once in a while, we go for ice cream, and I definitely am not going to stay in ketosis when I'm doing the ice cream with the two here. But so that's our nutritional part, and there's so much more that we could talk about. But I wanted to bring kind of a new element. It's, you know, week 1 is a bit of a higher fat, maybe higher protein, low carbs. But week 2 becomes we start introducing more carbs, natural, healthy carbs, and then week 3 there's more of that. And week 3 is our like most balanced week. And pretty much I've been staying on week 3 for pretty much a whole year. And the idea is you stay on week 3 and it doesn't even feel like a diet. You don't want to get into a place where you feel like you're stuck into something. You know, even when we're on and off, sometimes I'm asking, are we on? Or are we off? The only time I know we're on is because I've been starting to take pictures of my plates. The rest of the time, the diet, my nutrition doesn't really change much whether I'm on or off. It's changed a little bit. With time, it starts, oh, there's a little bit more of that, more of this. And and then I have my group, my accountability that helps me goes back on. So that's our nutritional part. Now we're going to talk about exercise, and I'll introduce Alex in a minute. Just like how there's a lot of confusion about nutrition, what should we do, is it this, is it that, there's a lot of confusion about exercise. And, we live in a day, I was just talking to Alex about this, like, we have the most equipment, the most, technology, videos. You can buy a trainer for $1 on internet, and you can do yoga class everywhere on the planet. And it has never become more of a crazy thing. Yet people, for some reason, seem to be less and less active, less fit, less strength, less flexibility. We live in a very sedentary world. And quickly, some of my fundamental ideas behind it is that overall, I think there should be an emphasis on building strength. I think a lot of people are afraid to go and lift weights because they're afraid to get hurt. They've gotten hurt before in the past. They're intimidated. So we'll talk more about that later, but I do believe that building strength is important. I keep telling Emily, do a chin-up, or do a push-up, or do something. And she's like, I'm going to go do yoga. And that's what she likes to do. And that's totally, and I respect her with that. And but she has to go and fulfill other areas because with time, strength component will become more and more important. So that's one of my main fundamentals, is build strength. Number 2 is to move a lot, move and stay active, and maybe you don't always move to a place where your heart rate is like dying. Try to do a lot of like hiking and maybe biking, but you don't have to kill your heart in biking. I go mountain biking. I went mountain biking this week, and we were freezing, but my heart rate wasn't at all high, and we were just enjoying. So that's a fun, more social time, and usually I try to keep the heart rate low. Could be just going for kayaking, but it's still like activity. And then to do things that are also, going back to the strength, do things that are functional, like being able to go and sit properly, or from sitting to stand properly, is so important. With time, I ask, can you squat? And you'd be surprised how many people cannot squat properly. And they're like, well, it's my knees, or I've lost the flexibility. And so that's part of the strength part, the play part. And then lately I've been really interested into gymnastics. And in the past few years, I saw videos on YouTube of people doing things with their own body weight, and I was like, this is perfect for me. For one, I'm light, fairly light, and I don't like to spend money on equipment. So I was like, well, this is, and I got into it a bit, and I realized that the people that were really into this also did a lot of gymnastics. And just by luck, I saw Alex doing things on Facebook, and I started connecting with him. He's in Ottawa, and we started chatting more. And lately, we did a podcast video. So we did an interview, him and I, just behind, and his gym is right there. And if you're curious, you want to learn more about our conversation, you can go on we have a podcast. It's called Be Your Best. And you can check out the interview. It's about 20 minutes. And we're just chatting, talking about exercise and gymnastics. So we did that. And then recently he helped Emily to get on the bar. I was like, if he's there, she's finally going to go and do it. And so our bedroom is right behind her. So like she goes by there all the time. And there's a chin-up bar, and there's... and he showed her a bit what to do. We have rings that we place there from time to time. And he showed her how to do that. So you can go and watch that if you're curious. If you've ever wanted to go do a chin-up, or you're like, I can't do a chin-up, I don't have the strength, that's Emily's story. You go check it out. He breaks it down into different components and how you can maybe start building up. It's all about progression. And so we did that recently. And now, Alex, I'll leave the floor to you. And you can share more.
Right.
You'd like to talk about. This is him.
How did you do that?
And there's like a million other things that I could have shown him off with other things that he can do. This is like basic for him. And by the way, he's not gonna like talk about doing like crazy stuff. But I love to bring experts here. I love to bring people that have, high skills. And but he's going to talk about like really simple, basic. What I love about him is he has a profound appreciation for the basics, for the fundamentals. And enough of me. So let's welcome. His name is Alex Kazan.
Thanks for having me, Martin. Just a quick note, I'm pretty new to Oaktree BODY, and there's a lot of things that I could use from Oaktree BODY to supplement my training and stuff like that. So one thing we have to remember as high-level gymnasts or even just movers and people that are fitness addicts, that number one thing is nutrition and the fundamentals of taking care of ourselves. So that's something that I've been seeking Martin out for a little bit as well. He called me a couple weeks ago at about 5 a.m. to, hey Alex, time to start your day. So things like that are things that I'm trying to implement into my life as well, and just eating healthier and being healthier, more nutritional in many different ways. So again, a personal experience.
Can I tell them something cool about you?
Something cool?
Maybe a little bit different, or.
What do you want to hear? Like,
it's good. People love stuff like this. Can you tell them about the tape?
oh yeah, sure.
People love stuff like that. So yeah, once in a while, I like to call up people early in the morning, make sure they're starting their day. So one morning I call them up. It was around like 5 or 6, something like that. And one of the things that he was encouraged to do, he learned, he's like, because a lot of us are mouth breathers. And especially at night, we stop breathing through our nose, and it's much more powerful. It's better for us to breathe through our nose. So in order to kind of retrain himself to do that, it's pretty cool. He started putting tape on his mouth while he sleeps. So I call him, and he's like, Mr. Sherwood. I'm like, what's going on? And then like, pulling off the tape, like, okay, I'm here. So yeah, people love stuff like that. Makes us more relatable. All right, sorry to interrupt.
No worries. So again, I've been around the world, with health and nutrition and fitness and back, many different types of disciplines, and trained in the gym. I've done body weight training my whole life, as well as bodybuilding, CrossFit, many different things. And right now, over the last couple of years, I've been getting more into adult sort of gymnastics training. I have an adult gymnastics business right now. Basically just getting people of all different ages moving. So I always ask people, what does gymnastics mean to you? What is gymnastics? And to simplify it, it's movement. A lot of people get intimidated by the word gymnastics. They think, oh, iron cross on the rings, or maybe handstand hold, or tumbling, and lots of different flips. But the fundamentals of gymnastics is movement. And if you picture like maybe your grandchildren or nieces and nephews and little ones or whatever it is, we're taking them into the gym, and maybe they're learning gymnastics. And where are they starting? It's starting with basic different walks and crawls and movements across the floor, which is what we're all meant to do as well. So back to the tape story, the reason why I'm taping my mouth at night is because I am a mouth breather, and I'm snoring at night, and I can't figure out, sometimes I wake up with a bit of a bad back, and so the mouth breathing actually forces me to breathe through the nose, so I'm actually sleeping in a bit of a better posture. Again, just another health thing that I've been trying to add into my daily life. So in regards to movement and exercise, one thing that I want to kind of bring to the table is, why are we exercising? So nowadays, Martin kind of brought it up, we're exercising because we have to. And where we came from was, it was in our daily lives. We were gathering food, we were hunting, and we had to move. Nowadays we are driving everywhere, we have chairs everywhere, we have toilets that we can sit on instead of squatting. So these little simple things are kind of taking over their life, and now we have to go to the gym to get that exercise. And what we're starting to see at the gym is people just kind of killing themselves at the gym and just lifting weights and just sweating like crazy. That's not always the goal with exercise. We want to feel better, right? And sometimes we're going to the gym to move, to look better. So instead of getting on the treadmill to sweat like crazy, or maybe run our asses off, we're only hurting ourselves sometimes more by doing those sort of things. So what I like to do with my program, and encourage you guys to do on your own, is just move a little bit better every day. And so it could be sitting in a better position on a chair, or getting into a squat. So sometimes I hear some people, I can't squat, my knees are bad. Well, you can squat. You just don't do it anymore. And if we don't do it, it only gets harder as we go. Perras, if you want to come up here, you don't have to talk or anything right yet, but I'm just going to kind of have him in my little presentation and show you guys some basic movements that I have some of my clients do. So, for an example, so let's go into, this is Perras. He's not a gymnast. He is an adult, as you can see. He's been doing my program for about a year now, and where we started was just movement, and we're doing some really cool things now, but let's kind of show what I'm talking about here. So Perras, can you show us a bear walk? So this type of movement, okay, let's do a bear crawl. So just come down onto the knees. So just resting there for a second. Just on here. So what position is this? We're just on our hands and knees, right? How often do we get on our hands and knees? Not so much anymore, right? Because we're getting older and we don't need to. But where do we come from? What are our little ones doing? Our children, our babies. They're getting up, and the first thing they're learning to do is crawl before we walk. And they're also learning to squat. So these basic type of movements are on the hands and knees. And we lose those sort of things over time. And that is where what I believe applies to gymnastics, because the next thing he's going to do maybe is a handstand walk. We won't get into that in here. We're going to put a whole thing on, but let's do a crab walk.
Some marks there.
Okay, you've been doing a handstand with Emily?
Probably.
Nice. Okay, so let's do crab walk. So just resting here for a second. So sit down on the bum. So a lot of times, I see some people that will come in and will try and get into this position. It's kind of the same thing as a squat. If we're just sitting in this position and having trouble lifting up on the bum, or lifting the bum nice and high, it's because the shoulders are really tight, the chest is tight, and sometimes we're just simply not doing this sort of movement. So resting for a second. So if we're at the gym and we're doing a lot of bench press, a lot of upper body strength, we're only tightening up these muscles even more. We're only losing the biological ability of our bodies to move. So this is kind of the crab walk. Let's show it again. So lift up in the hips, and then we can start to walk. So as we've strengthened this position, then we can walk, and then walking backwards. Okay, and just rest.
So Alex, if you couldn't get into that position, what would be a...
So we can't get into that position. There's a lot of different types of stretching we can do on the ground. Let me just quickly talk about this position again then. So before we start to walk or shift the weight, which can be very challenging for some, we're just going to maybe try and lift up into the position and then do a couple of reps. Or maybe lift into the position and hold. Okay, I have Perras doing it with his fingers forward because he's got extra hypermobility in the elbow. And so most of us are going to practice doing it with the hands out or hands backwards. So this, again, simple movement. And what we're doing here is we're getting on the hands, a lot of stuff happening to the wrists and the fingers, and we're building strength in these positions that later down the road can apply to maybe a handstand or a front support walk or a more advanced movement in gymnastics. So that's what we're doing with gymnastics. We're really simplifying these type of things. So that's my type of support. So how I break gymnastics down, how I break movement down is a handstand, squatting, pushing, pulling, and dipping. Okay, so that's my handstand kind of work there. We're getting onto the hands, and we're just getting into those supported positions. Grace, can you show me a front support? So another form of handstand. Again, so a lot of people in the fitness community, we're trying to learn these crazy things, these handstands. Just rest for a second, Perras. So we're doing handstands and stuff in the gym, and these things are achievable for 100% for all different ages, and we can do amazing things. if we're doing these sort of things, just basic movements. So this is kind of where a handstand would start. It's just another form of a crawl, getting used to the supported position and strengthening the shoulders and the wrists. So it's my front support. One thing we're also doing with this is we want to perfect the position, because again, the goal isn't to burn my core and sweat like crazy when I'm holding that position, right? I want to have that position be more functional and maybe prevent injuries or create more movement down the road by doing simple things such as a handstand. So again, it comes back to the question, do I want to feel better or do I want to look better? And that's where I break all these movements down. So another one is the squat. So let's do a little bit of squat. Martin, can we get your chair out here?
Yep.
And so just going to this movement, just to comment, or I forget what it's called.
Yeah, this is a table lift.
So I'm always a big fan of kind of doing the opposites of the position that we're too often in. So we're very forward. You see a lot of people with their shoulders, and with time they go forward. So this is all about, they talk about pitchers, how they need to unwind. They're always doing this movement, and they need to practice taking it back and taking. So what I like about this is stretching everything in the opposite direction that you're spending your whole day at the computer with your head forward.
And so I guess, and to tie that in, why do we want to have or balance that movement out? Is because the environment that we're now in today's society, with chairs and the way we're hunched forward and stuff, everything is hunched forward. So we got to open that kind of stuff up. We got to balance it out with movement. Another balance out for this sort of position, just to kind of mention, would be my pulling movement. And that's kind of what Emily's been working on, is her chin up. So the squat. Everybody knows what the squat is, right? Mm-hmm. So we're seeing a lot, okay, I'm going to get my squat up, right? We're having maybe a barbell on the back. But we have to remember that, I don't know if Martin mentioned this earlier, but this is a quote that a huge inspiration of mine says very often. He says, the more expensive the equipment, the cheaper the mover. So what does that mean? If you have to go in and buy $1,000 or maybe $10,000 treadmill, you have the longest treadmill in the world that's outside. You can walk outside and walk all day, and you don't have to pay for it. So if I have to go to the gym and buy a really expensive, barbell or
Membership.
weights or membership, exactly, you have the biggest playground in the world. It's outside. There's monkey bars and equipment all over the place. So main thing is start moving a little more. So before I squat, can I squat all the way down? I don't need to add weights. I don't need to go to the gym and crush myself or get under a machine and do squatting, right? I need to squat with my own body. So again, if I'm not able to squat all the way down, the goal is to squat into this resting position, right? This is where I encourage you guys to practice and to work towards. I try and spend a good half hour in this position every day, just moving the hips, right? The hips are supposed to move, and if we sit all day, they just get really tight. So another exercise we can start to do, especially the older we get, the more movement we are losing, and we have to prevent that by balancing it out with just moving. So I'm going to do some basic squats, maybe have my hands out in front to kind of counterbalance my weight. That's a chair. Okay, I'm in a nice neutral position, chest is open. This is my healthy posture, okay? So I put my hand on my back, hand on my stomach, and that'll tell me if I'm in a good position, my belly. Just out a little bit, and I can't really feel my lower vertebrae, okay? So like now I can feel my lower vertebrae, just to make that simple. So if I'm sitting like this, I want to have a proud chest, okay? So again, I'm going to try and squat back up, leaning forward, and then stand. And then eventually, if I had a lower chair, we could add a little more range of motion. So the goal is to add range of motion on these movements before I add weights. And it doesn't have to be very simple. It doesn't have to be, okay, I'm going to go and get my exercise on. I'm encouraging just to add little additional habits to daily life routines, such as when I'm getting up off the chair throughout the day, it doesn't have to be like this in this position. I want to use the muscles that are meant to make me squat and get up off the chair. So I'm going to try and get up off the chair in a nice position by using my legs. So just implementing healthy habits like that. A healthy habit that I'm trying to get used to or remind myself to do on a daily basis is just sitting in a good position. Right now my core isn't doing anything. I'm sitting with my shoulders slunched forward and my chest caved in. So I'm just trying to have my hands like this, and I'm actually putting my bum right back into the chair. Now I'm using a good position. And this is just my squat mechanics, okay? I don't know how much time I have left, Martin. I got maybe 2 or 3 more movements, or maybe, let's make it 2. 1 or 2. 1?
Well, 2 minutes?
Sure, 2 minutes. Okay, I'll make it quick.
My most important point.
So my movement, yes, okay, so I'll make it quick. Movements of gymnastics. Again, simplifying it, squatting, handstands, pushing, pulling, and dipping. And those are the different ways that the body moves. So I got my pulling, I got my pushing, handstands, squatting, and dipping, okay? Those are my fundamental movements of the body that we are meant to use on a daily basis. For an example.
Actually, instead of going into another movement,
Sure.
If people are interested to get more involved and want to get in touch, you've got like 5 passes.
Yeah.
Anyone except Tammy can't win one. If anybody's interested of wanting to come in and hang out at a...
I'll tell you all about it all the time. I would love
Right on.
to share what I learned
hand up.
with anyone
hand
that I know. You can have that one.
So it is an adult gymnastics program.
Yeah. Free
All
gymnastics
ages.
class.
Okay? Doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter the ability. I got one more.
You're an adult, right?
I hope so. You're welcome. You'll be amazed with some of the things that we're doing with our bodies there, and don't be intimidated.
If you want another pass, talk to me.
Yeah, I got lots. It is a gymnastics facility, but don't be intimidated. Come in, we're really welcoming, and we have lots of fun. So you can check me out.
I think one of the best places to start, I've been to, he does several different classes, but I can't wait to go to his moving class, where he does like the bear walk, the crawls, all that, just be on the floor and crawling. I've been starting doing that with my kids, and they love it. We do it here, and Tuesday nights is like, it's crawling time. And we crawl up the stairs, we crawl down the stairs,
Awesome.
and they have fun doing it. And so he has a class, I think, for like, how long is it? 30 minutes?
It's a 1 hour class.
Okay, 1 hour.
It's about 50 minutes of moving, and it's cardio. You're using your own body.
You're just on the mat crawling, and you've done it?
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
Doesn't say.
So,
Where's the gym?
is it, go for it.
It's in Westboro, off Richmond. I don't know, Beerus, if you want to say a quick 30-second personal experience.
Yeah. So the only thing I wanted to mention is so like I don't know your name, but like yeah. So as he mentioned, it's very sustainable program. Like I was looking for something that I get bored very quickly from like doing the weightlifting or like running, but because there is like fun involved in this program, you are eager to continue and keep doing this. So I had no gymnastic background or whatsoever, but I kept doing this thing, and like I surprised myself with what I can do compared to like 10 months ago. So that's the only thing I can tell about this program.
Experience.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
So yeah, having fun, moving, doing functional things like sitting, learning to lift something like maybe a deadlift, or learning how to like put weight on your wrists without harming yourself. So many times, every week I have somebody that comes to see me and says, I want to get in shape, but I'm afraid of getting hurt, or I keep going to the gym, I keep hurting myself. Maybe give Alex a call or check him out. He's got tons of videos on YouTube too. His channel is called Alex Kazam, and you can learn more about see all the weird stuff that he can do. And if you're ever want to build a skill, want to learn, if you ever thought I could never do a handstand, well, he might show you how to do one. Or with time, maybe, and everybody's on their own journey. If you have no interest in gymnastics or movement, that's totally fine too. Some people are into running, and all right, that's okay. I have preferences. I have things that I think that will help in more longevity and more like sustainability. But I think finding things you enjoy and keeping moving, like who are we to judge like which sport is better? But you know, a lot of times people will shy away from gymnastics just because they're intimidated. Like I could never like, how do you get to like do flips like that? You start from the basics. And who here as a child did gymnastics? That's it? This is fucking rude. Okay, well,
everyone does it like unknowingly, right? Like,
yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
it.
We all did it. Who
We all
crawled?
learned to walk.
So who crawled when they were a baby? So you all did gymnastics.
I'm doing gymnastics right now. Sitting down.
Listening. Yeah. So my kids, started putting them in gymnastics. We were like at the age of 2 or 3, and Ori, like he was afraid to jump, afraid to like move, and we're like, okay, you're a kid, you're supposed to move. And he was like, you could see like he had some hesitations, and ever since we put him in like gymnastics, he's just having fun and playing around, and you know, now I see a lot of parents, they put their kids in the gymnastics for a few years, and they're like, all right, you got your fundamentals, now I'm going to put you in real sports like hockey or like soccer or other things like that, which is fine. That's the route I did. I went through gymnastics first, and then like, all right, we played basketball and soccer. But I think gymnastics is the fundamentals. I think everybody should be doing moving. Everybody should sit. Everybody should maybe crawl a little bit once in a while. And but that's my opinion. But that's something I strongly support. So that's the movement part. My final part, most important part that I am the most excited to talk about tonight is it's my family, but it's not. It's beyond family. It's the idea that tonight we talked about information. So we talked a bit about like going into maybe trying, and I'll give you more information if you're interested about ketosis or the keto diet. We talked about ways to get moving a little bit more. Maybe how you should sit. And, you just mentioned how you could maybe put yourself into this position. And people go to seminars all the time. They leave with this knowledge, and oftentimes their head is full, and nothing happens. And the point of my third point is that I want to strongly encourage you to share this information, to start coaching people and show people. We were talking about simple things. We're talking about having a balanced diet. How maybe you shouldn't just eat carbohydrates. You should have a balance of maybe some protein and fats. And I can share a lot more of that. And the ones that I'm specifically talking to are the ones right now that have spent a lot of time with Oaktree BODY and have started to really learn about how, like, Anna, the things you've done, the things you've reaped some of the benefits of these programs. Now it's time to turn it on and start sharing it with others. And that, how I said earlier, I'm the one who has benefited the most. That is how I believe you're going to continue to benefit the most out of it, is if you start educating and sharing this with others. And that's where some of you might be like, okay, you lost me. Do you know who I am? I don't have a family. I don't like talking to people, or I don't want to do this, or no, I'm in this for myself. I don't like whatever's going on through your head right now. You can totally benefit by starting to share this with others. And this is I'll tell you right now, this is my marketing plan. I want people to go and tell others people, and it's because this is so valuable. And everybody, you're not coaching rocket science, engineer, super complicated things. You're helping people to get up early, to go after their dreams, to eat right and eat a more balanced, to move once in a while. You're encouraging people to sit properly. You're encouraging people to drink water, or stay away from maybe all sorts of sweets. Simple things, but the things that people struggle with every day. And because they struggle with that, their life is not that great. And all we need to do is, get together and start encouraging other people. And it's not hard what I do with Jenny. Yeah, I call her up. Are you up? Yeah. Okay. Well, have a great day. That's it.
Basically.
You know, that's basically what I did. You know, so there's things that could be more advanced. And when I say I want you to go out and share this information with others, I'm not just saying, okay, go ahead and share it, and good luck with that. You're on your own. And let's see how you do. If you tell me that you want to share this with others, I will do whatever I can to help you become more successful at sharing it with others. Probably the best people that you would want to share it with is your family. If your family can get on board and start eating the way you eat, start moving the way you move, start like wanting to go after your dreams, all these things that we talk about, it will impact you in so many ways. It will impact your family. You know, how many times do I talk about this with our team together all the time, where I hear people that they're suffering because there's somebody in their family that is suffering. You know what I mean is, like, let's say you're taking care of your mother because your mother is sick. You know, and with time, do you think that could affect your health? That story goes on all the time. I've seen that story 100 of times. And it's like that. Like or it could be like you're doing well, but your son is sick, or just somebody, like, it could be something as simple as like so your whole environment it has to get healthy. because then otherwise they will take you down too. They will affect you. They will, you know, I hear so many times people say, you know, I'm doing the juicing, I'm doing all that. How's the rest of your family? Oh, they're on their own. You have to start working together. You have to, because if you're like all on your own, that plan will not work. So I want to encourage you to share. If you don't know what to share, I will help you. I'm not saying go out, you're on your own, good luck with that. It's not going to work. No, it's going to work. It is simple. I will do whatever it takes to help you share these messages and these ideas with other people. And we have lots of resources. We have, like, I just wrote an ebook. It's on my website. If you want to learn more about this, you can go and check out the ebook. What else do I have? Oh, this is our idea of sharing. We have to share. Like, if you just keep it here, nothing will happen. But the more you share, the more you will get out of this. So a lot of things that we do, I should quickly talk with you. If you're new to this, there's a lot of accountability, there's community. That's very important. That's how we stay successful with this. We have different ways to keep each other accountable. We use Facebook, but some people don't like Facebook, so okay, don't worry about that. There's other means. But we post a lot of videos and our stories on Facebook, and we take pictures of our plates, and we try to encourage other people. And you know how many times I've heard people say, I love to see the pictures. I love to see the plates. So I'm like, all right, where are your plates?
Camera's full.
Yeah. I can't use my phone. Yeah, right.
Can't erase memories.
Anyways, if you're being encouraged, start encouraging others. You'll be surprised how, like, and yeah, there's times I don't feel like, is it always easy to help out people and to show people and to, no, it's not always easy. Sometimes it's discouraging because sometimes you feel like you're the only one doing it. You're the only one that's really, like, eating the way and it's like, but then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, there's other people doing it. Other people are actually succeeding at this. But the more we unify, stay in community, the better this will work.
Can I just add something very quickly to that?
Yeah.
As far as the accountability is concerned, everybody falls off the wagon, so to speak, every once in a while. And with the accountability with this program, this new way of living actually, you're never made to feel ashamed. Everybody is very supportive, and you know, you have to admit, you know, to yourself, not to everybody else, okay, so, alright, I had a bag of chips. That's okay. The next day, get back up there and keep trying and don't give up. Because everybody wants you to keep going with it, not to give up. Because a lot of times when we fall off the wagon, fall off the diet, you know, we don't want to, oh, well, I'm not doing so good, I'm just going to give up.
Yeah, and also like one of the points that I make is you're never falling off because you're allowed to fall off. You're supposed to sometimes fall off. If you never fall, it's like there's a problem there. You're not doing it right. You're gonna fall. So the idea of falling off is not a bad thing, but you have to pick yourself up. You have to keep, and that's where the community comes in. Another way, some of this information is on martinperras.com, and there's another place that I can direct you. But if you don't know much about this, you want to go learn more about it, go to this website. You'll see there's an ebook you can download, and you'll see the 3 weeks. You'll see how we encourage people to support each other and what we do. Alex's podcast is on. You can go to martinperras.com and see Alex and I chat there. And on YouTube, we also post videos. Some are more Oaktree Body. Others they're pretty much the same. On our Facebook, we have a lot more videos, but we started to put some on YouTube as well. And that's another place where we have more videos. I don't know how many videos we have done now. We must have over 50, maybe close to 100. So that's really what I wanted to share. It's important for us to, those that are in the program, it's important for you to stay involved, it's not easy, it's a Thursday night, I know, and it's late, and there's people there. Hi. There's people online.
Get real close.
It's not easy, but we need to support each other, and we need to stay together. And I'll keep doing visits like this if you want to. And really, how this movement and this is going to go is from you. I'm going to listen, and that's how Undying has changed and it has evolved is because I listen and what do people want? How can I help them more? And what do we need? And if we need to meet up, the last time we meet up like this was maybe 2-3 months ago.
In June.
In June. Yeah. So probably the next time, if might be in another few months. If we need to meet up more, then we'll do it. We'll do whatever it takes for us to be successful at this. And the more people come in person, the more encouraging, obviously, it is. I know there's a lot of people that would have liked to have come, didn't come, but whatever. But again, so please share this information. Share it. I'm not saying share it for me. Share it for you. Share it for others. An interesting concept. We live in a world where it's always about us. What if we start living more about others? Start helping others and give, and to be generous with our time and to help, and these are simple things. These are things that it's easy to be generous with this stuff. So thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing, and thank you, Facebook. And if you have more questions, we're here. We're going to have some juice. Alex is here. You can answer questions. You want to chat more with him. And we're done for tonight. Bye-bye, Facebook.